Hey, I'm really glad you clicked on this video, and I appreciate that you're here. Today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about loneliness. Life is a really complicated thing, and I know you're going through a really hard time. I wish I could just reach through the screen right now and give you a hug. I know for some of you, you might really need that hug. I know there's people in my life who I really wish I hugged more. And there's times in my life where I wish I had a little more hugs. Touch is a very powerful thing. It's how we connect with each other. The thing about it is, you're allowed to ask someone for a hug. I know it's a little weird to kind of expose yourself in that way. It's a very vulnerable thing to ask for. But physical touch is a very powerful thing. It can be understood across cultures. All people understand what touch is. A way to address loneliness in your own life is to find more ways to have physical contact with others. Now, it's not going to be easy or comfortable, but you might start to notice that these feelings start to hurt a little less when you're able to hold someone's hand or hug a friend. Now, loneliness isn't just a physical feeling, it's a sense of disconnect and a lack of meaningful connections. I think it's a scary thing to acknowledge it. Acknowledge that right now, even if you are surrounded with friends and colleagues, or just in a somewhat social atmosphere, you can still feel completely alone. There's a lot of reasons for why people feel lonely. Maybe it's because you're lacking a romantic connection. In today's world, we're surrounded with ideal relationships, ideas of what true romance is and how everyone should have it. But the thing about finding that partner that you really want to be with, there's so many reasons that for the time being, it's out of your control. Maybe you live in a small town and statistically there's just no one who really matches you. Maybe you live in a big city where it's hard to find people who aren't so caught up with everything going on. Finding your partner is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to be a journey. And throughout that entire journey, there's going to be a lot of loneliness. There's going to be a lot of wondering if you're good enough and wondering if you're worthy of someone. I'm sure in this moment, you're probably thinking, wow, I would love the shit out of anyone who gives me the chance. You have so much love to give, and you're so ready for someone to show you some love back. You might feel lonely because you don't really have a lot of friends right now, or maybe you never really had a lot of friends, and that's not your fault. It's, again, something that is, for the most part, out of people's control. Your environment has a huge impact on what options you have in the way of friends. Your genetics play a part in how outgoing you can feasibly be. To make friends, you really have to prioritize other people. I think it's pretty easy for people to blame themselves for feeling lonely, but there's a lot of things that your mind does to you that you don't really have full control. This lonely feeling is just an evolutionary tactic in order to make sure you get along with your tribe. It's really unfortunate because it's really not your fault. It's okay that you're feeling lonely. There's this one thing I heard a lot when I was younger that was really negative, and not at all helpful, and something when I was lonely, I really just didn't want to be hearing. And that was the idea of being okay alone, being happy by yourself. Feeling disconnected from others is not something you can just power through on your own. I think it's worth fighting. I think it's worth fighting to not be lonely. It's worth not giving up and expecting that you can somehow overcome this on your own. This is probably one of, if not the most difficult things in life. It's a part of the human condition, and I just really don't want to see you give up.